Welcome to the user tutorial for the Alaska Spill Response Wildlife ID Aid. The Wildlife ID Aid, created by wildlife resource agencies in Alaska, is a tool that anyone responding to an oil spill can use to take a wildlife minute and record what they see. This tutorial introduces you to the aid, explains how to use it to classify birds and marine mammals into general categories, and offers a quick and easy method to record your wildlife observations. As an early responder to a spill, your primary objectives are health and human safety, containing the spill, and controlling the source of the spill. While the initial on-the-ground response to a spill is happening, plans to protect the environment, including wildlife, are being made. There are three basic strategies to protect wildlife during spill response. The primary strategy is to keep the spilled oil away from wildlife and their habitats, such as containing the spill with boom. The secondary strategy is to keep wildlife away from spilled oil. For example, by hazing wildlife away from the spill. The tertiary strategy is to respond to impacted wildlife, such as capturing and rehabilitating oiled birds. On-the-ground wildlife observations inform the decisions about which wildlife response strategies to implement and the overall plan for wildlife response. Trained wildlife observers are regularly involved with spill response, although in Alaska, spills often occur in remote locations, and it may take hours, sometimes days after a spill occurs for observers to arrive on scene. The wildlife agencies would appreciate your help. If you are an early responder to a spill, and you are willing to take a minute to look around and jot down what you see, you can help us plan the wildlife response. No binoculars or prior wildlife identification training is needed. We just want to know what you see. During the early phase of a spill, it is valuable for us to know the following basic information about wildlife in the area. What kind of wildlife is around? Approximately, how many animals are there? And what are they doing? For example, observations stated as simply as 40 to 50 long-winged seabirds near spill area, or 10 to 20 small whales swam through the spill, provides us with important information. We have designed the Alaska Spill Response Wildlife Identification Aid as a field tool to assist with basic wildlife identification and record keeping. Using basic ID characteristics provided in this aid, birds can be categorized into 6 groups. Marine mammals can be categorized into 7 groups. Your observations can be recorded directly onto the pages of the aid using a permanent marker. After your observations have been reported, you can reuse the aid by removing the marks with rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer. First, we will describe how to ID a bird you see. Basic characteristics about the habitat the bird is occupying, the behavior of the bird, and the shape and appearance of the bird can be used to distinguish which of the 6 groups a bird fits into. First, take note of the habitat where the bird or birds are. Are they on land? The shoreline? Over water? Are they in fresh water? Or the ocean? Next, what are the birds doing? Are they waiting near the shoreline? Swimming? Diving underwater? Nesting? And how many birds are there? Some groups of birds form flocks, or large gatherings of birds. Is it a flock of birds? Or just one bird? Birds vary greatly in shape and appearance. Even at a distance, without binoculars, you may be able to pick out distinguishing features about a bird's body shape, wings, neck, head, and bill, legs, and size that can help you ID them. Notice that color is not included in this list. Relying on the color of a bird can be tricky business. Color can vary with age, sex, time of year, and lighting conditions. For example, this is an adult bald eagle. Young bald eagles look quite different and usually don't develop white head and tail feathers until their 4th or 5th year. Instead, think about the general characteristics that together make up a bird's overall appearance. Subconsciously, we may all use a similar technique to identify people every day, distinguishing a friend from far away, for example. We can identify basic characteristics about the shape, height, hairstyle, maybe the behavior of a person, long before we key in on things like facial recognition or their outfits. Take note of the bird's body shape. Is it slender or more rounded? What do the wings look like? Are they long and narrow, long and wide? Maybe seemingly short and wide compared to the size of the body. Does the bird have a long neck? How about the length of the bill? Take note of the overall shape of the neck, head, and bill. How long are the bird's legs? Are they long or short? Though size can be hard to gauge from a distance, the aid provides a size range for birds found in each of the 6 groups by comparing them to the sizes of 4 common backyard birds: a sparrow, robin, raven, and goose. For example, if birds found in the group range in similar size between that of a sparrow and a robin, these 3 circles would be filled in. Now, think of all your observations together. Where is the bird? What's the bird doing? Think about the features that comprise its shape and appearance, and think about the relative size of the bird. The field aid contains pages that describe the shape and appearance, the size range, the habitat, and behavior for each of the 6 bird groups. Shorebirds, as shown here, long-winged seabirds, football-shaped seabirds, waterfowl, birds of prey, and land birds. Next, we will discuss marine mammals. The aid categorizes marine mammals into 7 basic groups based on shape and appearance and size characteristics. The first two groups are sea otters and river otters. Though river otters are not true marine mammals, they can be found in saltwater near rivers and streams. Sea otters and river otters are distinguished from each other primarily by their behavior in the water. Sea otters float on their backs, bellies up, often showing their back feet and tails. River otters swim with their bellies down and maintain a low profile in the water. Sea otters are often found in large groups or rafts, whereas river otters are usually found alone or in groups of just a few individuals. Sea otters spend very little time on land and are only occasionally found on beaches. When on land, sea otters move awkwardly. In comparison, river otters spend much more of their time on land, near streams, rivers, and on beaches. River otters are very agile when on land. The aid can also be used to help differentiate between pinnipeds, the group of marine mammals that seals, sea lions, and walruses belong to. All three pinnipeds can be found in water, on ice, or on land, alone, or in groups of animals. On land, seals can be distinguished from sea lions and walruses by their movement and body positions. Seals wiggle on their bellies, with little use of their front or back flippers. Sea lions and walruses use their front and hind flippers to move. Walruses can usually be identified by the presence of tusks, which both males and females have, but young do not, as seen in this photo. Here, you can see the difference between how sea lions and seals hold themselves on land. Sea lions sit up on their front flippers, whereas seals sit on their bellies. In the water, seals, sea lions, and walruses may be difficult to tell apart, but even just knowing a pinniped is in the area is helpful information. The last two groups of marine mammals that the aid can help you identify are large whales and small whales, including dolphins. In addition to the size of the animal, the appearance of the dorsal fin and the animal's movement through the water can help you identify it. The dorsal fin of large whales tend to be small in comparison to their body size. Some large whales may not have visible dorsal fins. Dorsal fins tend to be more pronounced in smaller whales, such as orcas and dolphins. The exception is beluga whales, which do not have dorsal fins. Large whales tend to move more slowly through the water, often exposing only their backs, then their tails as they dive. They expel large blows of air and water. Smaller whales tend to move more quickly through the water, and their dorsal fins are usually visible. However, this is typically all you will see of a beluga whale. They have whitish or grayish bodies, maintain a low profile in the water, and they have no visible dorsal fin. As we've shown you, the aid classifies birds and marine mammals into groups. These groups represent the animals that you are most likely to see during spill response in Alaska. However, you may see other animals, and if you do, please let us know. The last page of the aid has a section to record notes and other observations. This is where you can record other types of animals you see and any additional information about the wildlife near the incident. For example, did you see wildlife swimming in oil? Young animals? Dead animals? Now that you've learned how to categorize who you see, we'll show you how to estimate how many animals you see. Counting individual animals in a large group of wildlife is difficult, but you can estimate the number of animals in the group using this method. When looking at a group of animals, like the birds in this picture, count 10 animals and call that a unit. Get an idea of how much space that unit takes up. Then, estimate the number of units in the whole group. In this photo, the entire group can be broken up into about 7 units. Therefore, you can estimate that there are about 70 birds in the photo. There are 78 birds total. Our estimate was quite close. The unit size you use can be any number of animals that is easy to visualize for that group of wildlife. For bird groups in the aid, you can write the total number of animals you observe in the upper right corner of the page. For marine mammals, the total can be recorded in the bottom right of each group description. Finally, the last page of the aid provides the opportunity to bring it all together. You can tally up all of your observations. How many animals of each group of wildlife did you see? Record notes and other observations. You can fill in the date, take a photo of this page, and send it to Incident Command. If you cannot send photos, you can still use this page to help you summarize a verbal report. And remember, you can wipe off all your marks and reuse the aid. In closing, this short clip provides an example of how to record wildlife observations on the aid. First, find the group that best describes the animal or animals you see. Next, add the approximate number of animals you see belonging to that group. For example, 10 to 15 shorebirds. Other observations about the animals you see that you think might be helpful for wildlife response planning can also be written on the page. For example, a quick note describing that the shorebirds you saw flew over spill area helps us determine which wildlife response strategy to start mobilizing. As you continue to look around the spill area, proceed with recording all the animals you see. Again, additional notes are encouraged. For example, knowing that there are seabirds nesting near the spill may prompt us to mobilize a different response strategy than we would if birds appeared to only be flying around the spill area. Continue to record observations, such as a seal swam into boomed area. And finally, tally up all your approximate counts of each group of animal on this page. Add additional notes that the seabirds you saw were nesting near the spill and that young were present, and that a seal swam into boomed area. Write the date and report your observations to Incident Command. In addition to reporting to Incident Command, wildlife observations or other wildlife-related concerns can be reported to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service at any time. On behalf of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, NOAA Fisheries, and the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, we thank you for taking a Wildlife Minute during the important work you do.